Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Mouthwash. I know it's been a minute since the last one. Um, Last week I lost track of what day it was, and we went on to make food. So we did our Thanksgiving last Monday. I'm gonna pop over to here. So, welcome back. Got a couple things we're going to talk about today, as always. You know us. A few housekeeping things first. I think the last stream I started using this new overlay that I made. But also since last stream, I started a Ko-fi page. So if you feel like supporting me, even more than you guys already do, all of you are amazing. If you feel like supporting me in any way, jump over there. I feel like I'm gonna post a lot more IRL stuff, more than I do on Twitter. So more than I do on Twitter, but I'll still post some specific stuff there. More so stuff I usually wouldn't post on Twitter, like me running into fighting with stuff on for City Skylines and our series and stuff like that. So just letting you know. First thing we're going to talk about is something that is going to come out in the next couple of days, actually a week from now. It'll be the day after the next Mouthwash. On the 13th, City Skylines is releasing the next series of DLC. I just closed all my windows. Good lord, I didn't mean to click that. City Skylines is releasing the next series of DLCs, and the main one of the highlights on this one is the financial districts. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about them, and we'll go over some of my gripes and some things that I'm complaining about. All the pictures here are from the Steam page for City Skylines, so I just put these here to cycle through so you can look at stuff and also see what I'm complaining about. Okay, so in the one of the community streams that Klaus Lord did for City Skylines, they showed us what the stock exchange does, what the financial district theme looks like. They showed us how the banks work, and they showed us a lot of stuff. So we'll go over it, recap style, if you haven't watched that stream, or if you haven't if you haven't read the devlogs that are on Steam. So the stock exchange, which is this building that you're seeing, stock exchange allows you to invest in specific areas of your city that are affected by what you do to the city. So it includes things you can invest in, like air travel, and I'm about to sneeze, hold on. Apparently I don't need to sneeze. I thought I did. So you can invest in things like air travel, specific industries, but the specific industry. So it's one of those things where they don't do a lot of cross mod or cross DLC stuff. So the only type of industry that you can invest in is zoned generic industry, but like the specialized zone generic industry, which I don't like. I don't like that at all. And you can invest in stuff like transport, logistics, which are traffic, stuff like that. So, but yeah, the industry thing is one of the first things that I have an issue with. I have never used zoned specialized industry. So that's the kind of industry where you draw a district over zoned industrial, and you set a specialization to it. So I have never ever used that at all, which is kind of asinine. Apparently, it also has a crypto investment, which, why? Maybe they put it in there for the meme. I feel like I'm going to purposefully just dump a bunch of money on it and then like sell it and crash it into the floor. That would be something I would do. I don't know what exactly is determining the gain / loss because it changes daily. So you're watching the stocks rise and fall on a little graph. It seems fairly arbitrary. Obviously, it's affected by your city, but to what ends? The stocks move up and down and allow you to hedge your bets. So you can invest in something on the low end and then sell when it's high, of course, just like regular investing. And you can also plan on doing that with your city. So one of the examples they gave in the stream was if you have a ton of stock in the oil industry, I think it was like greasy gas, whatever. It's probably one of those, it'll auto-generate names. If you highly invest in the oil industry, which gives you returns based on the number of cars that are in your city. So if you're about to do a giant push towards pedestrianization and public transit and all that, then you could you can insider trading yourself by selling all of your oil stocks. So it's extremely insider bet or insider trading because you're in control of whether the stocks go up or down, and also you own the stocks. So it's it's extremely insider trading. I really don't know what they expect people to do with this. The stock exchange buildings and the banks, which you can also place down, expand an area of tax bonus, which increases increases tax income on, how you doing? Increases income on zoned offices. And it's really good. It is, I have a couple gripes with it so far, though. Where was I? The tax bonus, I think, is a percentage based on what level the stock exchange is. But that would be really good for either an office area or just a financial district in general, like the center of your city. The bank buildings act like post offices. So they have traffic that goes in and out, and they have a general area of effect. But they have far less traffic from post offices, which I am very looking forward to because I fucking hate post offices. The banks are separate from stock exchange operation. So you really don't have control over what the banks are doing. They're more just assets in your city, but the stock exchange is specific. The bank buildings are nice looking assets, in my opinion, but the stock exchange is absolutely hideous. It is so disgusting. It looks terrible. The building itself looks fairly fine, but it looks like something out of SimCity 2013. It's so unrealistic. It has comical money symbols and statues of coins stapled to it. Who's designing these buildings at Colossal Order? Because the stock exchange buildings, hopefully we'll pass by a picture of the stock exchange. There's the base. So when you level up the stock exchange, it adds more onto the top of it. But that base, so that crenellation on the top, look at it in the distance. It has stacks of gold coins on the top of it. Why? Who thought that was a good idea? This game is going to go right down the SimCity rabbit hole by changing everything to be over comical and, you know, over dramatic and like, ooh, garbage service. It's a giant trash can. I mean, who figured out? Who designed that? Why? Why? I just don't understand. I think in my cities, I won't go to the level 3 because a level 3 stock exchange adds the coin stapled onto the roof. But look, like that, it has a pile of money sitting on top of it. Who the fuck designed this? The first level has just the like marble bank building, but it still has, or technically I guess you could use Bob to get rid of them. That would be something I'd have to look at, see if they're props. I know that's what, when this comes out, I'm going to see if you can Bob them out of existence. It's one of the advantages of Bob. You can get rid of stuff like that. It looks so unrealistic. I don't know how happy I am to keep it in my city. They add a new plaza, which is this thing, and City Skylines, or the designers for these buildings have gone straight down the underground rabbit hole. So there was the underground mall from the Plazas and Promenades DLC, and now this one is an underground mall, I think, as well. But I guess this is the new thing that they're doing, is making a bunch of stuff underground. But this thing is such a weird shape and has such a big building pad. Like, it's a bunch of like bland concrete around it. I really feel like it'd do better in like the center of a roundabout. Like, look, like the whole building area is just concrete. Like, there's nothing around it. Like, it's not a small asset, it's a huge asset. The International Trade Center, I think, to the right of this screen, that big building, and I'll point at it again when we pass by, that seems to be a really cool looking asset. I think that's a unique building. There it is. That building in the center of the picture. I think that it's a unique building. I really like that, but in my thought process, it definitely looks like a redeveloped building. And that's something I want to talk about with the other zoned buildings. So as you see in this picture, there's an older style building with a new building stapled on top of it. That's apparently what all of the financial district assets look like. So they all are redeveloped properties with new glass office towers on top of old marble buildings, which I don't entirely like. Yes, it adds a level of realism. I mean, you could claim that the city had a very historical district and then over time allowed developers to redevelop by using grandfathering the old building in. But to have every single building in like a quarter-mile area district being the exact same, I don't know. I'm going to have to do a lot of playing around with it to get something that I feel comfortable with, or play around with it long enough to get something that I like. Also, I'm going to be right back because I am going to check on the food that is currently in the oven because I thought it'd be done by now, so I had to start Mouthwash. Give me 1 second. Okie dokie, I'm back. I'm making a pot pie, and I just took the turkey out of the oven, so that's what that was. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, this. Yeah, that just look ugly. Like I've snapped right back towards to complaining. I just think it looks ugly. I don't think that it looks good. Because in real life, some properties would be redeveloped. You wouldn't have every property be retrofits of an existing building. But there's an interesting caveat to this, that the game, so what it appears to be in the live stream that we got from Colossal Order is the game remembers what building was there first, and then when the building levels up, it keeps the same asset but adds the level 2 addition on top of it. So the level 1 office would be just the stone masonry building on the ground floor. Exactly. Like, there's no, like, they just added the in the plazas and promenades, they added mid-rise buildings, but there's no historical mid-rise buildings. Because the plazas and promenades, those are like brand new, built 2 months ago kind of buildings, not 1800s tenements that have been gutted and turned into multi-million-dollar brownstones in Midtown Manhattan. I mean, but the game remembers what building was there first. So the masonry building would be level 1, and then level 2 would add a glass tower on top, and then level 3 would probably make that tower taller, or add an addition on top of that. So that provides an interesting conundrum, because now they've figured out how to program the city, or how to program the game to remember assets without leveling up and completely demolishing the building and just replacing it with a different asset. So they've figured out how to code a way for when leveling up to keep the same, like, tree of assets. So I think that that's going to be a really, really big advancement for this game, not only from Colossal Order's point of view, but also the modding community. So think about stuff like advanced building leveler and zoning or districts themes, stuff like that. There's a fundamental thing that are broken with some of those mods, that when a building is redeveloped, sometimes it doesn't stay within the theme. So the game kind of loses it may just be those mods, but the game loses track of what theme that building should come from and just randomly picks another building. So I think that if Colossal Order implements this from the top down to add this into the asset creator, or someone data mines this code out of the game somehow and turns it into a mod for asset creators to use, I think that that would be a huge leap forward for themed builds. That would be an incredible advancement for creating a themed city that allows buildings to level up, but within keeping in the same theme. Because you could make it, random example that just came to my head is the American Eclectic houses. you can make a theme that is made up of the American eclectic houses, but when they level up, just like the regular game, it tears the whole building down and starts over. So it goes from the construction site, which makes sense to then go to a level 1 and level 2, but you could make it in a way that kind of works like a real middle-class neighborhood, where instead of tearing the house down and starting over, you add an addition onto the house. So my house, or my parents' house more than anything, but I live in the house myself. When this house is the same as it was when it was built in the late 70s, but once, not over the years, because we're not fucking rich, but we add an addition onto the back of the house. So maybe custom assets, instead of having a middle-class suburban America house go to a mansion, you have a middle-class suburban American house go to the same house, but like newer. So maybe it has a new roof and the siding is different and there's an addition on the back and stuff's changed. But little stuff like that. I mean, obviously you wouldn't be able to see changes like that from like the grand view. Like I played City Skylines. That's why I don't like fine detailing, because I like building a city rather than like a neighborhood. But if you could do something like that, or just anything, like that was just an example that I had, but if you could do something like that, like this building, for example, it looks like the little half bit on the left is the original building that was probably built in the 50s or the 60s, but then later in its life, probably in the 90s, early 2000s, they added on a 50-story addition to the same building, because there could be a multitude of reasons. Maybe the original building was distinguished as a historical monument, and the developer had to keep the building virtually intact. They had to keep a percentage of the building intact to rebuild the new tower on top of it. Or the city is out of space, and instead of tearing the building down, which would be an expensive endeavor and would cost a lot of money, just made sense to kind of shift the building over a touch or two and staple a new skyscraper onto it. So there's a lot of stuff like that that you can do if someone figures out how to do that. That would be really, really good. I don't think I have anything else to gripe about this. The bank trucks are really cool assets. That's something we've been missing for a while. Definitely the City Skyline, obviously Colossal Order. I'm not pulling the America's the only country that exists card, but clearly this game is made and developed by a non-American audience, and a lot of that theming goes into City Skylines. And I feel like over time and the development of the community, and I would imagine that a majority of the players are from North America, I feel like slowly they're adding things to the game that they never thought about. Well, obviously they're adding things to the game they never thought about originally, but never thought that an audience would want, because they were developing it for their own, off of their own knowledge and city planning. Ton of roads, all the roads, the intermodal roads, like the tram track and the bus lane. So there's a ton of stuff like that were never in the game originally, or even until the roads and whatever update, that now we have cross connection or cross DLC assets. I'm looking forward to this. I really don't have much else to gripe about this particular. There's a couple other buildings. This plaza is part of it, and it just seems kind of useless. Like, I don't know what they expect you to do with that asset. Maybe, I don't know, move it and, like, put it under a building, and maybe that'll be, like, the entrance to the building. I feel like there's an internal quota in Colossal Order, and, like, every DLC has to have 2 unique buildings or something like that. And they came up with this one, which kind of just seems to be a random half thought. And then the other one was just even less of that. It was a quarter thought. It was just like, what random thing could we just glue together in the asset editor to come up with to release with this this update? Because they did a lot of, I mean, to give them credit, they added a lot of stuff more than just like assets. They added the whole functionality of the stock exchange and the banks. So I'll give them credit for that. But the asset part of the like unique assets are kind of just stupid. And again, want to make it obvious, the stock exchange is extremely ugly. I find it to be very, very ugly. It's straight out of SimCity. No, I am not in on that at all. I am 100% against especially the level 3 one. Even the level 1, like the base level stock exchange, has 4 coins that are like standing up on the roof on each corner, facing outwards. Like, it just looks terrible. I think that's all I've got for this right now. The assets look very samey. The zoned offices look very samey. They all have the exact same color of glass, so there's very little variety. I feel like in my City Skylines series, Razor County, I feel like I will have a financial district, but it'll be a very small addition to the city, because I really don't like these assets. So I'll probably stick it in a corner, do an episode on it to, get the financial stock exchange update, and then never touch it again. So just letting you all know that. Other thing I guess we can move on to, now that I've stopped complaining about this. I am going to take a drink first, though. So, other thing I wanted to talk about, completely a different train of thought, but something that I want to talk about. Toyota, that's a picture of a Highlander. That's what I wanted to show you, but that's not the first image that I thought the slideshow would show. Toyota, there it is. So Toyota has officially announced the arrival of the Toyota Grand Highlander. So there's already the Toyota Highlander, which is a 2.5 row. I say 2.5 row because it has 3 rows, but the third row is very cramped. 2.5 row SUV, but apparently now they've stated there's a Grand Highlander. And I want to talk about some of my conspiracy. That's the official. Okay, this picture is the only picture that Toyota has released. Is that, which is nothing. This and I think the next 2 pictures are of the current Highlander. So don't get that. This is not the Grand Highlander. This is the current regular Highlander. So I just wanted to put that. I wanted to put these there for reference. So those 3 pictures are the regular Highlander. I am interested because I didn't think that Toyota would go this route at all, pretty much. The it's an extended Highlander, so it is going to be bigger than the Highlander, which means that it'll fill the gap, the very large gap between the regular Highlander and the Sequoia, which is the supersize, ultra big, giant 3-row SUV that Toyota has, which is body on frame and built on the Tundra chassis. The Sequoia pretty much is a Toyota Tundra. My conspiracy theory is that it is a competition for the Grand Cherokee, which obviously hence the name, Grand Cherokee Grand Highlander. I also think it is a competition to vehicles like the Grand Wagoneer, which is another Jeep, and also to fill in the space of the sub, but not really sub, giant SUV. So a Toyota executive says that it's supposed to compete against vehicles like the Kia Telluride and the Hyundai Palisade, which are the same car, and vehicles like not the Honda Pilot. I've lost the other one that I didn't write. I remembered that fact. I didn't actually write it in my notes. But I am interested because the Highlander is what Toyota made as it thought would be a good competition for the Telluride and the Telluride / Palisade. And obviously it's a competition for the Pilot, and obviously it's a competition for the Ascent, the Subaru Ascent. But it's also not, because it's slightly smaller than both of those, obviously. I think that this will be probably the same size as the Subaru Ascent, which is slightly bigger than the regular Highlander. And my assumption is that it'll kind of look like an Ascent. That's kind of my guess. Apparently, my first assumption was dashed immediately. Apparently, it is still built on the TNGA K platform, which is the platform the current Highlander, the Camry, the RAV4, Sienna, pretty much everything is on the TNGA K platform. I thought it would be on the same platform as the Sequoia. I thought that it was going to be body on frame, but smaller and kind of narrower than the Sequoia, but apparently that's not correct. That was my original assumption. From these spy shots, and obviously they do a really good job at padding it and hiding its body lines and stuff like that. If I am to believe the hood shape, and if I am to believe that Toyota has not done the smart thing and padded the top of the hood to make it look a little different, I think this will probably look like a baby Sequoia. And it will probably share a lot of the same likeness as the regular Highlander, but I also think that it'll have the new Toyota headlight style. I talked about this last stream when we talked about the Prius. The Toyota's new thing is a C-shaped headlight with the edge of the C on the outside, and you can really see it on the Prius. But I'm fairly certain that this will probably have the new headlight design. Obviously, there's the lighter parts of the body wrap that this thing has that, like, you can see on the grill there. Of course, the whole reason that that's there is to dissuade us from being able to know what it really is going to look like. that back panel where the rear quarter panel glass that looks like it carries into the back window, Toyota's been using that same design on their spy wraps for years now. So this Highlander, the RAV4, the Sequoia, and I think the Sienna all had that same lighter gray shape where the rear quarter window. So on the left side of this picture, that shape kind of like the paragraph sign but turned on its side. Toyota's been using that same one on multiple cars, and none of Toyota's cars have that design. So I that's obviously just a ploy to make you think that's what it looks like. Again, I really think it'll have the new Toyota headlight design. The back I probably will like because it has the nice new C-shaped tail lights. I hope that Toyota doesn't disappoint me and put the blinkers on the bumper. I'm fairly certain they won't. This is very much clearly supposed to be a luxury car. So the regular Highlander is just a regular, average, everyday person car. The new Highlander, or the Grand Highlander, is definitely going to be more luxurious. It's gonna be more expensive. It's gonna have a bunch more crap in it. The interior will probably have a cloth option, but most of the options will probably have leather seats. It's gonna be bigger, so the third row will probably be bigger than the current Highlander is. And I think that it'll probably work out well. The same Toyota executive said that the Grand Highlander is supposed to, or is going to, steal some of the sales away from the regular Highlander. But they say that that's something that they're ready for and that they don't mind. So that's interesting to me that they're not claiming that this is going to enter its own market, but they are agreeing that this is going to be something that people will choose over the Highlander, regardless on whether they actually need the space or not. So I feel that that's interesting. Maybe my guess is that the current Highlander hasn't done enough sales to what Toyota originally wanted, and they've got to do something different to the Highlander to keep it relevant and to keep it in the back of people's minds and to actually have people want to buy it now, I guess. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I think that it will probably have a Lexus copycat. Looking at I'm looking at this while we're talking. Lexus still has a couple of SUVs that are not new. And I want to go down the SUV line and talk about those. So the NX is fairly new, but the GX is not new yet. But that's not saying that the GX isn't going to come out in the future. So we are still, since 2009, we are still waiting for a new 4Runner. Now, I don't think that the Grand Highlander will replace the 4Runner. But I do think that this is Toyota's stopover for not having to make a new 4Runner. Because the 4Runner kind of has a very specific audience that it needs to cater the 4Runner for. The 4Runner has a long-standing history of being a off-road, rugged, built car that you can drive over a mountain. Obviously, it's not going to have as much durability as something like a Wrangler will, even though Wranglers are pieces of shit. It'll last longer than a Wrangler, but it won't have the same capabilities as a Wrangler. I think there's one of two options that I have that I don't know which one I want more. So the 4Runner is the stopgap currently. But it's old. The 4Runner currently is the stopgap between the Highlander and the Sequoia. It's bigger than the Highlander. It's body on frame. It's taller. But it's not as big as the Sequoia is. Now, there are multiple assumptions as to why Toyota's sat on this for so long. Toyota usually, it's high-level cars Toyota usually sits on for a decade. So the current Sequoia will be here for a decade. The current Tundra will be here for another decade. I think, and I think I know this, but I think that the 4Runner and the Tundra are the same thing. I think that the 4Runner rides on the Tundra platform. And fairly recently, I think maybe the beginning of this year, there were spy shots of what we are to assume to be, and I don't have them here, but what we are to assume to be a new Tacoma. The Tacoma is as old as the 4Runner is. But the Tundra needs an update. And if Toyota is confident enough to drive a prototype, I mean, obviously spy-wrapped Tacoma on surface streets and not on a racetrack, I think that we're fairly close to a new Tacoma / a new RAV4, or not RAV4, 4Runner. Now, that may mean that the Grand Cherokee is a one-off, or the I'm slowly losing my mind. The Grand Highlander is a one-off. So, if Toyota is just biding its time to make a new 4Runner without having to rush itself to get into production, without having to start fulfilling assumptions as to what the 4Runner will be, if Toyota can make a stopgap solution, which is to just retrofit an existing car into a more luxurious version and a larger version to fit the gap that the car that they don't want to spend money on working on, I think that this is maybe a 5D chess move, if that makes sense. If that's something that I can claim a company I don't even have stock invested in is doing. And I think, hello, welcome home. Kawaii is home. Don't touch it. What? Oh, did you see? Don't look at them. There's too many of them. So that's my assumption. My assumption is that my guess is that the Grand Highlander is a one-off. It will have one model generation, and Toyota will never make it again. Because Toyota's fleet is already as crowded as it is. There are way too many vehicles in Toyota's lineup. Especially with now the Crown Cross being a part of the lineup. I think that this probably will exist. And Kawhi is bothering me. Where did you go? There you are. It'll probably be a one-off. It'll last 5 or 6 years, and Toyota will never talk about it again. That's my current working assumption. That's all I have. If any of you else think anything else, I also think that the I thought you wanted me to open it. So this is due to be revealed February 8th at the Chicago Auto Show. I expect the next Crown to be released fairly soon after. Because we talked about, actually in the first Mouthwash, we talked about the Crown lineup and Toyota's teaser about what the 4 vehicles in the Crown lineup would be. The second one is a sporty sedan, which I think is a copy of the RX. So maybe if we just give Toyota the time, the next Crown will be up fairly soon. Other than that, I really don't have much else for today. I'm really looking forward to that. If I find anything else out between now and next Mouthwash, we'll definitely talk about it next time. And we'll definitely talk about more City Skylines if anything else comes out about that. I love you all. Usually, depending on my work schedule, obviously, Mouthwash is supposed to be Mondays at 3 p.m. And I am always here. Follow or join my Discord. We are always fun there. You too. We're dumb and we send dumb memes to each other. Follow me on Discord. Follow me on Twitter. I'm always active on there. And support me on Ko-fi. You don't even have to donate. Just follow me. I'm going to post some fun stuff there eventually in the future. But yeah, love you guys. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.